The town of Eldridge Falls, Pennsylvania, slept quietly beneath a thin October fog. Most houses were shuttered, jack-o'-lanterns dimmed, and only the hum of old streetlights kept the night alive. At 11:07 p.m., Aaron Dwyer, a 33-year-old community outreach worker, locked his sedan and stared at the half-lit building where he'd spend the night. The Eldridge Community Center had been closed for years, but the county had reopened it temporarily as a homeless relief point for Halloween weekend. Aaron didn't mind working the night shift. It meant quiet paperwork, a little coffee, and sometimes a game on his phone. But tonight felt off, colder than usual, the kind of cold that crawls under your skin and makes silence feel alive. He heard it before he saw it, the soft shuffle of feet, slow and deliberate, coming from the trees behind the parking lot. When he turned, he saw only fog, and what looked like a silhouette of a woman in a black cloak, standing just beyond the streetlight's reach. Aaron blinked. She was gone. Inside, the building moaned with the kind of hollow groans that come from old pipes and forgotten walls. The fluorescent lights flickered, and his radio gave out a faint burst of static. He ignored it, until the motion sensor light by the back hallway clicked on. He stood, peering through the narrow corridor. The red exit sign glowed faintly at the end, and there, near the stairwell, stood two figures, tall, still, their faces lost in shadow. "Hello?" Aaron called. No answer. He stepped closer, clipboard trembling in his hand, but by the time he reached the end of the hall, they were gone. The back door was locked from the inside. That was the first time he felt it, the deep, silent pressure of being watched. Not from one direction, but from everywhere. Around 1:26 a.m., the center's power dipped. The overhead lights dimmed, humming like insects. Aaron stepped out to the front porch for a smoke. The fog had thickened, swallowing the parking lot entirely. A car passed on the main road, headlights briefly illuminating the fog, and in that brief light, she appeared again. The same cloaked woman, standing at the far end of the street. Her face was pale, no, too pale, almost blank, like wax. Her hands were clasped in front of her, and this time, Aaron saw movement behind her. Four figures stood a few feet back, arranged in a perfect half circle. He shouted across the lot, "Hey! You can't be here, this is county property." No reaction. The car's headlights faded, plunging them back into darkness. When Aaron's lighter flicked to life again, they were gone. Only the fog remained, shifting like breath. By 2:40 a.m., Aaron decided to distract himself with work. He opened the storage room where the old paper archives were kept, most of them untouched since the late 1990s. Inside the file cabinet labeled Community Outreach, 1998, he found a folder with yellowed pages, newspaper clippings, and a handwritten note. "Do not reopen the center on Halloween. The Watchers return." He laughed nervously. Probably a prank. But the next clipping stopped his breath cold. Local volunteers missing, Eldridge Halloween shelter closed indefinitely. The date, October 31st, 1998. The photo, a group of 7 smiling volunteers, and among them, a woman in a black cloak. Aaron dropped the file. The sound echoed like a gunshot. Then, from the hallway, came a slow knock. 1, 2, 3. He froze. The sound came again, this time closer. Aaron grabbed his flashlight and walked toward the lobby. "If that's you, Mr. Jeffers, the shelter's closed," he shouted, thinking maybe a homeless man had come by. The lobby doors were wide open. The wind had died, the fog heavy and unmoving. And standing just outside, half-lit by the flickering street lamp, were 5 figures in dark tactical-style coats, faces hidden beneath hoods and masks. They didn't move. Didn't speak. Just watched him. Aaron's voice cracked. "What do you want?" The middle figure, the cloaked woman, raised her hand. In it hum a rusted keyring, the same type used by the center's maintenance staff. She let it fall. The sound of metal on pavement was deafening in the silence. Then, all 5 turned in perfect unison and walked into the fog. Aaron ran after them, but when he reached the street, it was empty. Only the key remained on the ground. He picked it up. It was warm. Something compelled him to check where the keys fit. He found one with a red tag labeled B12, a door he didn't recognize. Down in the basement, the air was wet and foul, smelling of rust and rot. He passed broken chairs, old sleeping cots, and graffiti that looked too recent. When he reached door B12, he hesitated. The knob was cold as ice. The key turned easily. The door creaked open to reveal a small room lined with photos, dozens of them, stapled to the wall. Each photo showed the same thing, the Eldridge Community Center, each year dated Halloween, each showing a different group of staff, and in every single one, the same cloaked woman standing in the background. Aaron stumbled back. The wall seemed to pulse, as though the air itself were alive. Then he heard whispering, low, rhythmic, coming from behind the filing cabinet. He shone his flashlight and froze. Behind the cabinet, half buried in the wall, were faces. Real faces, pale and waxy, embedded in the plaster like sculptures. Eyes open. Watching. The whispering grew louder, a chant now, ancient and looping. The lights in the basement flickered violently. Aaron ran upstairs, keys jangling, heart thundering. He burst into the lobby and nearly fell over. Every light in the building now glowed deep orange, like candlelight. Through the front windows, the watchers stood in a circle, motionless, their faces hidden. The cloaked woman stepped forward. For the first time, Aaron saw her clearly, no pupils, no lips, just pale skin stretched over bone. She spoke, but her voice came from inside his head. You opened the door. Aaron stumbled backward as the walls began to groan and bend. The building was breathing. The photographs on the walls twisted, and in each one, his face appeared, replacing one of the missing volunteers. He screamed, but the sound was swallowed by the fog that poured in through every crack. At sunrise, the Eldridge sheriff's car rolled into the parking lot. The building looked abandoned again, dust on the steps, vines on the walls, the air heavy with silence. Inside, the desks were overturned, papers scattered, the smell of damp concrete lingering. The sheriff found the basement door slightly open. Inside, on the wall among the old photos, was a new picture, a 2025 photo showing Aaron Dwyer, smiling, clipboard in hand, with the same cloaked woman standing behind him. The sheriff frowned, then turned as a draft whispered through the hall, soft, rhythmic, almost like a breath. He turned off the light and left. Outside, fog rolled back in. The street light flickered. Across the road, 5 dark shapes stood still in the mist, watching.